Welcome to Women Finding Clarity, the podcast that ignites your inner power and guides you on a journey to uncover the boundless potential of the universe in life and in business. I'm Pascal Cook Fernandez, your host and life transformation coach. Join me each week as we align our energies, elevate our businesses, and thrive in every aspect of life. In each episode, we dive deep into topics like the secrets of raising your vibration, crafting irresistible offers, and amplifying your impact. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, this podcast is your compass to navigate the realms of limitless success. If you are ready to align your energy, elevate your business, and truly thrive, subscribe to Women Finding Clarity now and get ready to embark on a life-changing journey. Until next time, stay empowered and keep seeking clarity. And remember, the universe is abundant and success is your birthright. Let's align, elevate, and thrive together, one conversation at a time. Hello, and welcome to Women Finding Clarity. I'm your host, Pascal Cook Fernandez. Today, I am celebrating the culmination of my 12-week program called Manifest Success. It was a beautiful journey through the 7 chakras of feminine business. And I have to say, the journey was made that much more beautiful by the women who showed up for themselves and for their businesses. I am so proud of this program and I'm basking in its beautiful glow. It has been my honor to support each woman on her path, one step at a time. I recently sat down with another woman who uses her business to support other women in a big way. Denise Kowalczyk is a second act business broad who is a business relationship consultant, a content creator, an actor, an aspiring filmmaker, and a world traveler. She lives a big life and loves to inspire other women to live their biggest lives, one small adventure at a time. She supports women business owners to make real connections by first setting up powerful online presence and then building out a referral process to connect with more clients. Because by creating a consistent online presence, you can connect with clients who are looking for your services. And when you create real connections, you are not only investing in a transaction, but a relationship that will yield long-term opportunities. Without further ado, welcome my new friend, Denise Kowalczyk. Denise, welcome to Women Finding Clarity.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and I cannot wait to have this conversation.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you here. You and I met, I believe the only time we've ever met was at the Cape Cod Women's Association, the very first conference.
Inaugural, yes. I
Yeah.
remember. Oh, that
Yeah.
seems like so many lifetimes ago.
So many lifetimes ago. And you only live maybe an hour and a half from me, I think. And yet we still haven't crossed paths again. So I reached out to you and was very much like, you need to be on my podcast. You still pop into my mind and I think you'd be amazing. So here
Yeah.
you are finally.
Our paths are crossing.
Yes. One of the reasons I knew that you would be such an amazing fit for the podcast is because your energy you're such a high vibe. You're so kind, you're just so upbeat. Your energy's beautiful. And so this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to bring to listeners.
I am sort of speechless that you just said that. So thank you for all those kind words. Wow, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love when people are speechless. No, like who doesn't want to hear how you affect other people in a positive light, right? And so that's one of the things that I always try to share is, again, you and I have only met once, but in that one, probably, I don't know, 45-minute meeting, mingling, networking after the event, you made an impact, enough of an impact that 2 years later, at least, I'm like, no, I still want you on the podcast.
I love that. And I think No, I'm also trying to watch my language. I'm listening to a book called Play Big by Tara Mohr, Mohr, which is amazing. We'll talk about that later if that comes up. But language, what we women use in our vocabulary. So I'm going to start that. I believe that it's very important that we do say those things out loud to folks and not assume that they know or don't care. Because especially as a solopreneur, I don't have office mates or anything of that nature to help with that feedback. And as you're working in life, whether it's your own life goals or your business goals or whatever, creative goals, I need that feedback, and I'm sure many others do. So it's a really important thing. So I totally echo that.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a really great thing to just take a moment and continue to reflect on that, right? Because as you're a solopreneur and you're just in your space by yourself, how uplifting and how much more motivating is it to hear something like that, which makes you feel like, you know what? I'm ready to tackle this next project. Whereas if you don't receive the feedback, you just start to feel like, what am I even doing?
Yeah, yeah. You can't be in a vacuum, right? That's not life.
That's right.
Life is not relying on other people's opinions or insights. That's not what we're talking about here. It is about invigorating and supporting one another. And I go out of my way, whether it's someone I meet at a networking group and we had this fabulous exchange, or someone I know long term who is maybe a little shy about sharing this great accomplishment that she may have experienced. I'm not shy. I'm the loudest friend in the room where I get out there and say, hello, congratulations to my friend on this great award or accolade or whatever. And I'm going to get on my soapbox right now. We women are not taught how to amplify our successes, whether you call it tooting your own horn or whatever. And what drives me batty um, is when someone legitimately, and I applaud this, does share an amazing thing they've accomplished. They put this phrase, I am humbled. Okay, no, no. I mean, you're
No.
not being humble posting, by the way, and you should be posting because this is an amazing accomplishment. So it's interesting that we as women, I know in my lived experience of really pushing through those walls of saying, listen, I'm working hard, I am succeeding, I see others succeeding, and how do we celebrate that out loud?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a couple things from what you just said. The first thing is, I'm a firm believer of manifestation. And so, what you put out into the universe comes back to you. So, why wouldn't I want to put out goodness and beauty and kindness? Because I want that for myself, right? And so, we're in constant manifestation mode, whether
Mm,
we realize it or not. And
true.
that's so important.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. And the other part of that is you don't need to be so humbled to share something you're excited about. I'll post on social media, I am so excited to share that this, or I'm so proud that this. And that's okay because really it all comes down to intention. So if all you care about is, the accolade or the award or the attention, that's one thing. But if your intention is to say, I've worked so hard for this and I'm so excited that it was successful, that's a completely different intention.
I totally agree.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. Here, here.
Yeah, I'm here for all of it. So
Love it.
let's get down to the nitty gritty of you. Let's start out by talking. I feel like there's so many directions we can move into, but let's start out by talking about the adventure broad.
Yes. Well, let me share this some context. So I learned a term, a multi-passionate creative, and that means that I do a lot of things, and I'm invigorated by doing multiple different things to explore, grow, and what have you. So the adventure broad is a manifestation of that, right? To play off that discussion. I came into my own self in my 50s. I'm at the time of this discussion, I'm 59, and it was in my 50s, namely my mid 50s, that my whole world opened up. Now, I live alone by choice, and I do have an adult daughter who goes to college in another country. Not my choice. I wish she was in the
Never.
same country, but so I have a lot of capacity there, right? Because I'm not obligated or caring for others in that way. So I have a lot of space to explore adventures and learn and grow. So it was that realization that I thought, oh, I have this space and opportunity and this desire and this curiosity. So I started pursuing international travel. And I remember I was in Edinburgh, Scotland, visiting my daughter for the first time. And I was in my Airbnb just thinking about life and what's next and how great it was to be there. And I thought, I want to share my stories of my journey as a second act woman, an older broad. And I'm like, let me see if this handle is available on Instagram. And I thought, oh, the Adventure Broad, it is. So I changed that. And then I thought, okay, well, how do I live life through that lens? And so it comes up and it shows up in so many ways. It shows up in my content creation, if you will, on my Instagram account, my periodic blog posts where I share stories. Um, I also co-host a quarterly women's event with another gal that I founded. We founded this thing called Cocktails and Conversations. I do an annual life planning retreat with women. So it shows up in a number of ways, but the underlying foundation is that life is an adventure. And as older women, there's so many things playing for us as opposed to against us for us to have adventurous lives. So hence the Adventure Broad.
I love it. I love everything that you just said. And I mean, I'm sorry, but I love that your daughter's going to school in
Took a while.
Scotland. I mean, I'm sorry for you, mom, but that's pretty darn amazing.
Yeah.
And so look at the sense of adventure that you seeded in your daughter, that she is willing and capable to go to another country and live and thrive. That's beautiful.
She has been very fortunate to have access to great adventures in her life. I will take that compliment for sure as her mama. I will also add that her father had resources and opportunities for her to travel internationally as a child. So she's been to Ecuador, and all these marvelous places. So she had both parents feeding that in her, but I will definitely own my part of that is her mama to demonstrate. And she's actually given me feedback that she was so in awe that based on my life circumstances growing up and other challenges, that I had created this magnificent life of moving to Rhode Island, sight unseen, launching my own business, doing international travel, that she is inspired by me. Someone of my age, not to say that, in a detrimental way, of course, but these youngsters, they're feeling a little pain of, and I've heard this from the younger generation, of what is their life going to be like when they're in their 50s. And
Right.
they don't want a dead end work life, for example, or whatever the environmental concerns and all of the things. But to see someone like me and other women like me in the 50s tearing up the town, traveling, having fun, starting a career as an actor in my 50s. I'm a professional actor, I have a new career. They're like in awe of that. And to inspire young women and all women to live their best lives in some ways is something that's foundationally important to me.
So juicy, so beautiful. I you're just so magnetic. I'm just so drawn in when you speak
Oh,
and you're just so uplifting and inspiring.
thank
And
you.
so let's talk a little bit about what does it look like to work with you? So if a client comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to be adventurous. I want more adventure in my life."
Yes.
What does that look like?
Well, folks can work with me in a couple of ways. So, from in my business standpoint, which is CTD Creative Consulting, I provide online and offline marketing support to women business owners with an emphasis on the relationship marketing component of it. My Adventure Broad stuff, if you will, is a new initiative and endeavor. So I'm still wrapping my head around the opportunities on how I can reach my vision of inspiring 1,000 women to pursue the best things in their lives, their dreams, their life purpose. So let me start there. That shows up in an annual planning retreat called the Audacious Life Planning Retreat. I was inspired by another solopreneur gal about her annual planning as a business owner. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. So the next year I did it. I tucked myself away down in Newport, Rhode Island, off season in a gorgeous Airbnb, reflected on my successes, looked towards defining my intentions and my business goals. And I thought, wow, this was pretty cool. Let me invite some gals down next year for half a day to see if I could facilitate a similar experience for them. Invited 3 women business owners. They were blown away, and to this day still take and use the learnings and that experience throughout this year of living their audacious life planning retreat. Well, I thought, okay, now what can I do with this? Well, then I planned a full day retreat with 7 women in Rhode Island. And we met at a beautiful she-centric co-working space called Upriser. Beautiful space. If you're anywhere near Providence, Rhode Island, please check it out. And we had a magnificent time. So that is an annual offering that I am providing women. And it's not just about business planning, it's about life planning, whatever that means to you. So that's really the Adventure Broad right there, though I've got some things I'm working on, but I'm not ready to disclose yet. So stay tuned to my Instagram. I'm going to do a plug here. Just find me on @the_adventure_broad. Boom, that's where you can find me. My business with relationship marketing, I have found that I'm all about relationship. It's for me, it's always relationship first, business second. And so when people meet me in networking groups, for example, I might mention my business as almost an afterthought because that's not just me, right? I'm so many things, as anyone else in the room is so many things. So it's important to me, and I find other women business owners that to know more of the person, not just the business side of thing, is the where we all begin. Because the old current adage is know, like, and trust. Well, that happens when you build relationship. So I'd like to teach women business owners to really hold on to that if that's a core value of theirs, and how does that show up in how they operate and build their business.
Yes, I love that. First of all, I just want to say, little earmark right here that when you have your next business planning, all of that event, I'd like to, think about attending because that sounds absolutely amazing.
Would love to have you there.
Oh my God, I would love to be there. It just sounds perfect. When you were talking about being in Newport and just, tucked into an off-season Airbnb, immediately in my mind, I picture you like pattering around the house in your thick socks. And, off-season Newport is probably pretty chilly on the water.
Yeah.
So it just sounded so cozy.
It was marvelous there. And I'm a wait, what's the word? Collaborator?
Collaborative.
Oh, thank you. I'm collaborative. I'm a collaborative collaborator. There you go. So I rarely do anything alone. And so even though I did that initial retreat by myself, I like to sort of test things out and see, oh, can I share this? And that's why then the next year I added for 3 ladies and then a bigger and broader thing. Because, and again, it's part of the whole relationship thing. I don't think we do life alone, right? There are moments that, of course, that we're alone, and that makes sense. But the power of connection, it just infuses everything in the life experience. What we were talking about before, supporting and promoting other people, not only our own, but other people's successes. And even, the downside of things, providing that support, love, and holding folks up when they're struggling, because inevitably, as a business owner, so much struggle that comes up when you don't expect it. But when we have a community to collaborate with, it's amazing. And to bring those women together, all different women, different energies. We did, do you know Gretchen Rubin's The Four Tendencies?
Yes.
Yeah, so I brought that in for a quick sort of guide frame of reference, because there was going to be an element of accountability following up on the retreat. And it was fascinating. And understanding that was really invigorating for all the gals who were there. So I will definitely be putting you on the list.
I love it. I love it. I'm all about personal growth and introspection. And, I feel like I'm a forever student because I just want to take the next course and the next workshop and the next, the conference that you and I went to. I could go to those every week because I love the bite-sized amounts of learning. I love the networking. I love getting to know people like yourself who I would maybe not have ever met otherwise. And I just love it. I love the conference feeling. I love small group learning.
I am right there with you. I've embraced my passion for lifelong learning um, many, many years ago. And I am a chronic professional development and personal development book reader. I mean, I am always reading. Rarely do I read fiction. Um, Sometimes I do, to kind of give my brain a little break. But like, for instance, are you familiar with Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way?
Yes.
She just released a new book for second act people. And it is incredible that older folks, whatever, the seniors, I hate the word retirement so much, because retirement for me is, oh my gosh, I'm done living. I'm going to quietly go sit over here in the corner and don't worry about me. I'll be gone in a few years, kind of thing. That's how I interpret retirement. No, thank you. Right. So she wrote a new book. The title's escaping me right now because I literally just learned about it, but it's a fantastic read, because our growth is never ending until we're dead. And then depending on what you believe in, it might continue on.
Yeah, but it's so true. You're never going to be done while you're still living in this body, right? The lessons will still continue to come. You're ever evolving, you're ever growing.
Mhm.
And that's beautiful. And so, again, it goes back to your intention, right? If you think about the word retirement, we kind of grew up. We're in a similar generation. If we're not in the same generation, I don't know. I'm Gen X. I don't know what
I
you are,
can't
but
keep track. I think I'm
you're,
what's that other one? Baby boomer.
you're a boomer.
Well, I'm right on the cusp between the two. So I think I'm a baby boomer. I don't know. I can't
I'll
keep
be
that.
honest with you. I feel like that makes sense for you because you're wise and experienced like a boomer, but at the same time, you're adventurous like a Gen Xer.
Oh, I'm loving that.
It's like you're straddling the equator.
I love it. I love it. That makes so much sense. Thank
Yeah.
you. That makes so much sense
Yeah.
now. I'm a cusper. I mean, my birthday's on November 22nd. I'm a cusper. I lean more towards Sag than Scorpio, but I straddle that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So fun. So, speaking of fun, I want to circle back and go back to the adventurer or the adventurebroad.com
Yeah.
because before we even hit record today, you were going to start telling me about the beautiful colors on your website. And I was like, no, no, no. I want to talk about this on the podcast. So let's talk about it because it is gorgeous.
Thank you. So I was inspired by my friend Brenda Morgan in Portland, Oregon. She started doing alcohol artwork, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a moment. Um, as I recall, to process the sudden loss of her son. She was navigating some intense grief and art. I don't think I'm misspeaking in saying that. I think because I recently bought one of her prints. Um, it's been a journey through her grieving and expression through her art, and beautiful alcohol art work. And basically, it's a special kind of paint, and you literally use rubbing alcohol, right? And you put the paint on this specific kind of paper and you add the rubbing alcohol to it and you can blow on it and it pushes the color out. And that's a very simplified overview of the technique. You can buy certain devices or use a hair dryer or whatever. And it creates this collage of color. And the image on my website is my very first piece that I ever made. I've only made a few others subsequent to that. I have to get back. It's on my bucket list to get back on the alcohol art making bandwagon. But it was representative to me of living a life as an adventure broad, that vibrancy of living, as my tagline says, a big life, one small adventure at a time. And those colors are really bold.
Mm. The colors are bold. They run together so beautifully. It's such a kaleidoscope,
Mm.
but it's a flowing kaleidoscope, not the harsh geometric lines like we knew in the ones as a child that you looked in the cylinder, right?
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful. It's a little reminiscent of watercolor.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just gorgeous. And the reason that I love this also so much is because the thing that I speak to my clients about is looking back and bringing their life's PhD, everything they've learned along the way, into their business to create a more profitable business. And that's exactly what you've done here is you've taken something that you learned along the way and now it's integrated into your business as part of your website, right? Everything doesn't have to fit into a box. It's bringing all the parts and pieces of yourself. And that's what makes you stand out. That's what makes you unique. And that is what grabs someone's attention.
Yes, and I will say, admittedly, as a business owner, just really grappling with that, what is it, the unique selling proposition, USP, and differentiation, and I get that. That's part of my world as a marketing expert, but never fully. I could easily have conversations with clients and others about it, but when you look inside it yourself, it's like, how does that show up? And the fact is, to your point, it automatically inherently shows up because none of us as human beings are the same. So whatever we bring to the party, and I don't know if I fully answer this, and let me circle back, is that what I bring to the party when I work with folks is curiosity, humor, um, uh, uh, encouragement to experiment. Um, I'm not a formulaic person. Each business and each woman who owns the business is unique. And, it used to be it took a generation for a technology to take root, right? Now you blink your eyes and now we have a new app, right? So, how do you navigate how technology or social media or what have you, online marketing shows up in your world to market your business? Um, without selling your soul, whatever that means, right? Now, some people like me, I'm like TMI, I'm sharing every moment of my life on social media. But that's my journey. But not everyone has that similar journey, especially, when you look at businesses. But finding what makes sense to you and always what makes sense to the folks you're trying to connect with, AKA your customers, is really critical.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are all so very different to your point, right? And so I share a lot. I feel like I've got a lot of friends on Facebook and I put life experiences out there and other people are much more private and that's okay. And it's
Whatever
just
floats your boat.
It's all more of what makes you you and what makes you unique, right? And so I'm wondering your life's PhD. I mean, did you grow up as an adventurous child? Were you more,
Is this
quiet and
is
closed
this a
down?
therapy session? No, I'm kidding.
This is totally therapy.
Oh my
Tell me.
God. Okay.
No, I just love it because I want to see how
Yeah.
did you get from point A to point B,
Sure,
right?
sure. I'll try to keep this succinct. I swear, I'm a rambling storyteller. Okay, so without going too far down in the rabbit hole, all of our childhoods are very unique. We have life lessons. I had a lot of trauma in that childhood experience, although I had paternal grandparents who were like the life raft. So having them there to hold on to navigating that was very critical. Um, in me getting to a place in my later adult life. So that is a very good thing. So I am a non-degreed professional. College was never presented to me as an option. And so I'm a super smart kid, but no one really nudged me to say, you are very smart. You could go to college. Anyway, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, moving on. I'm not bitter. No, I swear.
Let's book a session for 2 p.m. today. No.
So I have learned with a lot of, people along the way who were, angels, support, guardian angels, whatever you want to call it, family, friends, strangers, they were part of that journey. Also, I believe in a bigger power, and I call it the beloved universe. Um, and being tapped into that and aware of that to collaborate with that power was also very important. Um, and also learning that I was in my younger days as a 20 something year old gal, my risk taking was not wise risk taking. We'll just leave it at that. But as I went through life and with lifelong learning, those people, the beloved universe, the learning, change that sort of filter or framework of risk taking where it was more, I don't know, thoughtful, intentional risk taking. I don't know what the word would be, but not being as scared. I think in this therapy session we're doing, when I was younger, my risk taking was to avoid the fear. As an older adult, my risk taking is in spite of the fear. So
Mm.
we've just had an aha moment with Denise Marie Kovalchek. So I love that so much. So that's what I've brought is that I moved to Rhode Island. I've never been here in my mid 50s. And it's been an amazing adventure. I started traveling late in life, about 6, 7 years ago, because I was afraid of it for whatever reason, anxiety, I don't know, stuff. But I did it. I said, oh, this is amazing. I took a chance. It was amazing. And now every year I'm committed to going somewhere. So all the acting, I used to be a shy kid. That was for many, many reasons. People who knew me in school who see me now, they're like, what happened to you? Because I was so shy and not confident, right? That was part of it. And I had a performer in me, but all these barriers, self-imposed and otherwise, came up. And that performer stayed in there long, long time. But my darling daughter, who had the audacity to go to St. Andrews University, I love her so much. And I'm so proud of her. She was a theater kid. So I watched her explore her performer, and she taught me and inspired me. And so 3 years ago, I stepped into this world by one little click on Facebook about a new show coming called The Gilded Age. And I applied. You can catch me. Season 1, season finale, ballroom scene. If you look at the fireplace, every time to the right, there's a woman in a gown. Don't blink. That's me. A green gown. Oh my God, I'll send you the picture so you can look for it.
Oh, I love that series, and I'm like, "Let's get some new episodes, come on." That
Yes.
is so cool.
It was really happenstance. It was amazing. And that was a moment where I'm thinking, now I was background. I didn't really do much, but look pretty in a dress. But that was the beginning. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, maybe I could do more of this. Maybe I could learn the skill. I could maybe even say lines, and build, build, build. And so now, for 3 years forward, I do student films, independent films, commercials, industrial films, um, web series. It's so much fun. And people ask, why do you do it? And it's like, well, it's collaboration. It's not just one person bringing that idea, that story to life. It's all of us. And I love that so much.
Oh my gosh. Let's just talk for 5 more hours because literally anybody who's just listening and isn't watching the video, I was seriously just sitting at my desk, like head in hand, listening, like all struck by everything that you're saying. And it's just such a beautiful culmination of everything that you're about. It's
Mhm.
about building relationship, it's about collaboration, it's about what we talked about earlier, manifestation, right?
Yes. Oh,
Just
yes.
that one little click that led you to the next thing that then led you to the next thing. And that's how manifestation works. It's just being open to being open.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And people kind of scoff at the concept of manifestation, but I'm telling you, manifestation works. All the things that I'm experiencing in my life right now, I would say 95% of them, I've thought about in some capacity before. I mean, here's another example. I always had this intention, dream, or whatever to uh, share my stories as an older woman about, and also welcome other older women to share their stories in some kind of publication and or in and content creation. And so now my Instagram account is about that. The Adventure Abroad blog is about that, and I'm in conversation with a publication to explore ways to bring that to life in another level, on another level. And I realized, oh my gosh, this was on my list way back when. And I think when you have the idea, and don't be afraid of having that idea, people are, I think, afraid to, because it might not happen. Yeah, it might not happen, but it's not going to happen if you don't say it out loud.
That's right. That's right. And not only that, but it might not happen in the way you expect that it's going to happen. Just be open to it happening and watch it unfold.
Yeah.
And it
And
doesn't mean that you can lay in your bed and say, "Oh, I want to be an actor," and
I'm
then you
handling
don't
a
click on
TV.
the button,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Because I do have to click on the button. And all these other opportunities present themselves from that place.
You have to take the step. I just finished up a really important big shoot last week, very intense. And I didn't even think to apply. I'm like, oh, they'll never hire me. I mean, I still have that narrative running around in my head. And I'm like, oh, they'll never hire me. Well, you never know unless you submit your self-tape, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then they hired me. So you never know until you know. And that's that risk taking is a big part of it, and being to a certain degree fearless about the rejection or it not happening exactly the way you envisioned it. I found that has certainly a muscle I've developed in acting. Rejection. I don't know if you can see her. She's sitting right next to me. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's the nature of the business. But I also believe the little baby steps of risk taking, and I'm sure you're going to agree with this, they start strengthening your risk taking muscle. And then you're like, oh, okay, I did that. And look at that. Let me do the next thing. And that has definitely been a important part of my journey at 59 years old, doing stuff I never would have imagined I would ever have the courage to do.
It's beautiful. It's
Hmm,
so inspiring.
thank you.
And also, can I just say that you do not look like you're 59 years old?
Let me check my filter. I might, no, actually, I was at that shoot and somehow ages came up or something like that. I said, "Oh yeah, I'm 59. I'm going to turn 60 in November." And they're like, "What?" I mean, it is an interesting thing and it does come from the outside. The fountain of youth, it does come because, I use oil of Olay on my face, nothing, nothing.
I
It
love
will,
you. But you know what? That's a really great point is everyone's always searching for the fountain of youth. The fountain of youth lives inside of you.
that's right. Can I talk about my friend Ellen? All right. So I have two,
Please.
Ellen and another gal. So Ellen is 80, going on 60. She's cross country skiing. She's a little micro farm, I'll call it, right? She's, traveling. I mean, I can't keep up with that lady. Then my friend Dottie, who's 80, um, different life experience, and she is in having a lot of physical stuff and pretty much stuck to her chair. She's trying to do some PT and stuff like that. Now, I'm giving you a very quick overview of both of these women's lives, but I do know of both of these dear friends what Ellen's life experiences are and what her Dottie's experiences are. And with Ellen, her go get it, go do it, be fearless and go out, have a social life, learning is key, makes her fountain of youth show up as an 80-year-old woman. It's amazing. I want to be her when I'm 80.
Heck yeah. I want to be her when I'm 50 because I'm 49. I just turned 49.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let me share this with you. And I think I've talked about it on the podcast previously, but my son, my second born child, I have three, was born on my 29th birthday. And I know how wicked cool is that. And so every year, I would always pick him up from school. We'd go out for birthday lunch. I'd take him back to school. That was our thing. So now he's in college. We still do it. We still have birthday lunch and then birthday dinner and the thing. We didn't celebrate 1 year. I celebrated like the day after our birthday so he could have his own thing. And he came to me that night and was like, Mom, can we never celebrate separate again? And I was like, oh, yeah. But right, as a mother, doesn't that just like,
Yeah.
but my point is, he was born on my 29th birthday. So he's going to be 21 the same day I'm 50.
Oh, that's going to be a huge party.
Well, let me tell you what it's going to be. Because many, many years ago, he said, you know what? Those are big birthdays that we're going to have on the same year. How cool is that? We should go skydiving.
Oh my God, are you doing it?
So way back then, I was like, yeah, that sounds
Woo!
like a great
Do it.
idea.
Do it. I've done it.
Inside, I'm like, yeah, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Right? It's a year away. It's less than a year away now. And he's still on it. He's still like, this is happening. Damn it. I'm going to have to go skydiving,
You're going
Denise.
to have to. And you know what? I have gone skydiving once.
Of course you
Um,
have.
and I was in my 20s when I did it, but I do remember that experience. It was a really fascinating psychological thing with me, like being terrified to get on the little plane and then jump out of it it was tandem. I didn't do any free falling, but saying to myself the power, right, of that self-talk, which I didn't really even knew what that was back in my 20s, but having that conversation saying, yes, you're afraid, that is okay, but this is an experience that you want to have. So fear, go over there, you're in it. And so, yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to happen. So I will tell you that I've started going back to the gym. And I just told him on our birthday, he said something about it. And I said, can I tell you something? He said, yeah. I said, that's why I started going back to the gym because I have to be in better shape. So this can actually happen. So, yes, this has all been manifested. And I'm saying yes to the adventure, even though I'm scared out of my mind.
Right.
Um, and at the same time, still manifesting the little baby steps along the way of getting to the gym, making myself go, right? And it's those little steps that bring you to the broader picture. And I just felt like with everything that you were just saying about your friend and being open to learning, and yeah, this is the way we have to do it, isn't it? It's just baby steps that bring you to the bigger thing.
And, also I want to say this too, not to counter it necessarily, but it's also part of it, is that I was with my friend Anthony yesterday, and I said something like, "Oh yeah, I got this pile of magazines, like huge pile. And I don't make time to just sit down and go through it, right? Go through them just for inspiration or whatever, because I'm always going, 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 doing this, da 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 da." But yesterday, after my visit with him, we had a brunch, took a nice walk in the sunshine, came back. I came home. I'm like, you know what? There's that pile. I need to do this, 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 and the other 50 things. I'm like, no, I'm going to grab a stack of things and I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to look through it, be inspired, tear out a recipe, whatever, read a story. And it was amazing. So that's what I did all afternoon and then I made dinner, and I'm like, I could physically feel the difference. It's really important.
It's self care. I think we think that self care is going to the spa or taking a magnesium bath, and all of that is self care. But also, self care is taking the time to sit and read through the magazines because that's feeding your soul,
That's
right?
good.
It rest, rejuvenate, recuperate, all the things feed your soul because that's productive too.
And that actually feeds the adventure, right? And the things I explore. And I worked really hard in recognizing self-care. I know, so I've navigated since pregnancy, um, 20 some years ago. I had some postpartum depression, and subsequent to that have navigated and then went through menopause. Don't even get me started on that, my friend.
Girl, that's a whole nother
Oh
episode.
my God. When I started going through perimenopause, my depression kicked into high gear. And what reading and research I've done, once you have some major episodes of depression, the likelihood of you having repeat episodes of depression are just, there. So over the years, I have to navigate some mild depression. Um, and I've been able to manage that, but I have to learn the signs. So if I have the feeling, and it's mental, emotional, physical, and I'm like, ooh, this could be the precursor of an episode, what can I do? Well, I need to do some self-care. So that whatever that means to me in that moment, it's like, okay, boom, the self-care is coming out. And that really helps me navigate those experiences a little bit better. And stress, I can't stand stress. I
Yeah.
can't stand it.
Let's just
And,
flick it out of our lives. No more stress.
and the past couple of 3, 4 weeks or so, there's been like almost a stressful episode each week. And it's life, right? This is what happens. And it's just like, okay, again, that narrative and the self-talk to just go to the other side of it's really important. Not to, for me to, I've learned not to be in it, acknowledge it and move through it. Have you heard of Tara Brach?
Yes.
My God, love her.
I love her.
So I read one of her books. I heard about her through, I'm not sure the original source, but she does the RAIN method. What is it? Recognize, acknowledge, inquire, and nurture. Am I getting it
I
right?
think that's right.
So if you're having a response, let's just say you're angry, just acknowledging you're angry, then saying, okay, I'm not getting the acronym right, but recognizing the feeling, understanding the feeling, inquiring what might be underneath it, and then the end is the nurture, and that's the self-care.
Yeah. And I want to applaud your self awareness because when you're in the hole, it's not easy to see what's going on around you or to really kind of understand how do I get myself out of the hole, right? And so having gone through it and, you know, little by little, you've started to recognize, okay, this is what works for me. This is what I need to do. Such good self awareness. And we can't close our eyes and pretend like it's not happening. We have to acknowledge it. And we have to say, I'm not going to allow this to suck me in, but I'm going to allow myself to float through it and get to the other side. And that's okay. It's kind of like when you're being pulled out to sea by the riptide, you can fight the current and you're going to be exhausted and it's going to continue to pull you out deeper and deeper and deeper. But if you just stop fighting it and swim parallel with the shore, you can get out of it so quickly. And
Yeah.
if you're not fighting it, and you just allow it to wash over you, through you, and move on, you're so much more easily able to get to the other side.
I totally agree with you, and it's a lifelong lesson.
And it's a lifelong, um,
Practice?
no practice. Yes. Because I was going to say there's no such thing as perfection. I tell my clients, practice equals progress, or practice makes progress, not practice makes perfect,
Oh,
because there's no perfect.
I love that. I'm gonna quote you on that. Practice
Makes progress.
make progress. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, yeah. And some days are easier, some days not so much. Like, someone sideswiped my car one day, hit and run, and, you can imagine, that stress, and found out it was gonna cost me $3,400, to get it repaired, and I wasn't gonna go through insurance because we all know that rabbit hole. And I'm like, "Okay, well, thankfully, I have some savings to cover that." And then 3 days later, I get hired for, an acting job that covers it.
See? It's amazing.
It's pretty cool, pretty cool.
It's
And
wicked cool.
it's not a constant flow for me. I mean, I acknowledge, like, when I'm in the zone, whatever that is, that connection, the synchronicity, all that stuff. Oh, I pay attention when those things happen. I jot those down. I'm not in it 100% of the time, but when I'm in it, it's pretty magical.
Absolutely. And I think that life just continues to pull us out. And so it's the practice of getting back into the flow faster each time, right? So listen, I just peeked at the clock and I'm like, oh my God, we're still talking and I should probably wrap this up. And I don't want to wrap it up because I was getting ready to tell a story, but I have to tell the story. I'm just going to quickly. So the kids and I just got back from a trip to Hawaii. My husband couldn't come. It's a whole nother story. But when we got to let me back up. A very good friend of mine, she sent me a book that she wrote a chapter in, right? And she sent it to me as a gift. And her name is Dawn. I always say Zurin, or I always say Zern, Dawn Zurin. Um, she wrote a chapter in this book, and it's all about how she got to the airport, realized that she didn't have her driver's license, and her husband was dropping her off. And she's like, nope, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to security. They're going to let me on this plane. Watch. And she was manifesting it, right? Because our words are so important. So turns out they let her on the plane, I think, with like a business card that had her picture on it and a credit card, right? Like, what are the chances her husband overnighted her ID for the flight home, all the things? So, as I read this, I was like, man, I wish something cool like this would happen to me. Enter the trip to Hawaii. My husband drives us to the airport. On the way to the airport, I pull out my wallet. I'm, entering the payment for our luggage, whatever. We get out of the airport, we say goodbye, we go to check our luggage. She says, can I have your ID? I can't find my wallet. It's not in any of the pockets of my carry on. So I'm like, maybe we dropped it outside. So we go look outside. It's not there. We call my husband to come back. He's already on the highway. He's got to circle back around into Logan Airport.
Gosh,
We look through the van. It's not there. I'm like, oh my God, it must have fallen out when I got out of the car and somebody picked it up. You're kidding. My husband has a picture of my passport on his phone. So he's like, see if they'll let you in with this. We get in the line, it's super long. We get up to the first TSA agent. There's only one person in front of us. We're like, yes, that person has an issue with their ID. So they have to call someone over. So we're like, let's get in the next line. So when we're moving from agent one over to agent two, there's a little ledge on the wall. And on that ledge is a boarding pass receipt. I don't remember the first name. I don't remember the last name, but the middle name was Yvonne. Yvonne was my mother's name, who passed away 14 years ago. 14? I think so. Yeah. 10 years ago. Um, and I'm like, you know what, guys, this is going to be fine. See that boarding pass? That's my mom. Right. So I knew like I've got this connection. So we get up to the next TSA agent. I start telling him my story. He interrupts me almost immediately and says, hold on, I'll be right back. He comes back up doing this. He said, does this look familiar? I'm like, that's my wallet. He said, yeah, a man turned it in. He said, open it up and make sure everything's in there. I opened it up. Everything was in there. Right? So let me just say, first of all, I knew it was going to be there because I know whether people think that I'm cuckoo or not. That was a sign from my mom, like, I got you. Everything's going to be okay. Second of all, if we went to the first agent, he wouldn't have known about my wallet because it got turned into the second agent. Right? So yeah, I'm all about all things signs, synchronicities, mystical, all of that.
Oh, that is an amazing story. You got to write a blog post about that if you haven't.
Right? An amazing story. And the lesson in this is A, trust in the universe, God, spirit, whatever you believe. B, be careful with your words. Because remember, I read Dawn's story and I was like, oh, I wish something cool like that would happen to me.
Whoopsie. Yeah.
Careful what
Wow.
you wish for, careful what you say. Yeah. So, listen, I know we have to wrap up. So, is there anything that you would like to offer listeners
Oh
as
my
we're
gosh.
closing here today?
Okay. First of all, thank you. Yes, we could talk for another 6 hours, and I hope we do talk again.
Yeah.
Second of all, to offer listeners or viewers, if you are trying to figure out a business offer, your marketing strategy, or some other big audacious life thing, and just need an ear for about an hour, I have an offer called a strategy chat, because $199. And I will be sure to include a link, and you get my ear, my brain, we converse, we strategize on whatever that topic is. And then I also provide some resources to back up some of that information. And it's an hour just for you to work through anything that you want to talk about.
I can only imagine the goodness that comes out of that conversation because I'm feeling all the goodness that just came out of this conversation.
Oh, thank you.
So I feel like anyone who takes you up on that and works with you is definitely in for a big treat.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So a link to book that session with you is in show notes. And I'll put a link to your website, all the things, so everyone can find you because you're amazing. Thank you so much for bringing all the clarity today. And I can't wait until we can chat again.
Thank you.
What an inspiring conversation that just proves my theory that work doesn't have to be hard. It can be fun, especially when you're connecting with amazing souls like Denise. If you'd like to create even more authentic connection in your life and business, join our private Facebook community, Connection and Clarity, using the link in show notes. Remember, the universe is abundant and success is your birthright. Let's align, elevate, and thrive together, one conversation at a time. Good night. Thank you for being in our Women Finding Clarity community. If you're enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite listening platform and share it with someone you know so they can find clarity from the conversation as well. Remember, the universe is abundant and success is your birthright. Let's align, elevate, and thrive together, one conversation at a time. See you next week.